from your local weather authority. This is your Forecast First.
Good evening, everyone. A beautiful night across the valley with fair skies out there and still very mild temperatures. Here's what it looks like, a live shot right now with our Graber Post building cam on the south side looking to the north over Terre Haute. And all looks good. The weather is not a problem. The temperatures are still mild. We are still in the 60s most areas. We are down to 54 there in Bloomington, but most of it's still around 60. There's the satellite and the radar. There's not anything near us right now. All clear on the Dorsa Automotive Doppler radar. Forecast overnight, dry and mild. Great day tomorrow, but changes by Wednesday late in the day. We'll talk more about that in just a little bit. Your news starts right now.
Local news that matters. This is WTWO News at 11.
This is such a good bill because, it has all contingencies working together.
After a year filled with protests, an Indiana law brings more accountability to law enforcement. And more information on a Wabash Avenue crash that hospitalized 2 people. Plus, the suspect from a stabbing in Princeton has been arrested in Sullivan County. We'll have those details in just a few minutes. Good evening and thanks for watching. I'm Mike Tank. Governor Eric Holcomb signed a new bill into law Friday requiring all Indiana law enforcement agencies to go through de-escalation training. The new law also redefines the definition of a chokehold. Lindsey Jackson spoke with local legislators and law enforcement about how this bill will create positive change in the relationships between the community and the police. Lindsey.
That's right, Mike. After a summer filled with protests and calls for police accountability, Representative Tanya Path and Vigo County Sheriff John Plassey say this is the first step to continuing to create change in the community. After the death of George Floyd, many across the country and in Terre Haute called out for more police accountability and transparency. House Bill 1006 requires all law enforcement agencies to perform mandatory de-escalation training and redefines chokeholds while prohibiting them in certain situations.
This is such a good bill because, it has all contingencies working together. The law enforcement groups work together with the legislative bodies, and they came up with just a really good bill, I think, that helps out everyone. I think that's the best part about this bill.
In Vigo County, Sheriff John Plassey says they revised their use of force curriculum after the summer protest. He says these training programs are especially useful for county agencies.
If you can't talk your way out of a situation, per se, or try to calm that situation down, then you're gonna have a problem if it's just you and a big group of people or even one-on-one. So it's just good to be able to have that in your toolkit to kind of calm things down if you didn't before. But I think, county agencies, I think, have been doing that a lot longer just because of the proximity of their nearest backup.
The new law also makes it a crime for officers to turn off their body cams with the intention of concealing a crime. Recently, Vigo County Sheriff's Office requested funding to get the equipment. Plassey says it'll hold officers accountable and maintain transparency.
I think it's a good thing, again, and I know some people are kind of, sometimes you're hesitant to change if you don't really understand, but I think this honestly will be a tool to help both sides, law enforcement, to help law enforcement and the community see what happened in a current situation, and hopefully that'll answer some questions that we may not have been able to answer if we didn't have the body cam.
Representative Paff says this is a step in the right direction to continue implementing change statewide.
Again, this is just a start. We're not done. This is not the end-all be-all bill. But at least we started talking about things that are really important and ways that we can positively make a difference in the state of Indiana. So, my hope always is you start the conversation, you get something in place, and then you continue the conversation. This conversation is not over, but this is a really good start.
Also, under this new law, it'll also require agencies to request an officer's previous employment records when they are trying to get hired at a different department. It also prevents the previous employer from being sued after releasing those records. Mike?
All right, thank you, Lindsey, for that information. We continue our coverage about a crash this evening that hospitalized 2 people. It happened just before 4:30. Police were dispatched to the 5500 block of Wabash Avenue just outside the entrance to Rose-Hulman. That's when police say a pickup truck collided with a car. All lanes of traffic were closed due to the wreck and reopened just after 8:30. The conditions of the 2 hospitalized are unknown at this time. A stabbing suspect with a felony warrant out of Gibson County was arrested by authorities in a Sullivan County home. Authorities learned that Travis Flowers may have fled to the area. Sheriff Clark Cottom says officers surrounded a Hymera home and Flowers was arrested without incident. The victim in the stabbing was treated at an Evansville hospital for non-life-threatening injuries. Flowers faces charges of aggravated battery. He was taken back to Gibson County. A Terre Haute woman is facing charges after a traffic stop in Vigo County Sunday by Indiana State Police. According to police, 39-year-old Tessa Cooprider was pulled over on US 41 Sunday night, driving on a suspended license. Authorities say the trooper noticed suspicious activity and searched the vehicle. They found meth and other paraphernalia. Cooprider faces initial charges of dealing meth, possession, maintaining a common nuisance, and driving while suspended. Starting tomorrow, face coverings will no longer be mandated by the state of Indiana. The mandate will now become an advisory for residents moving forward. Even though masks will no longer be required, Indiana Governor Eric Holcomb still recommends wearing them and social distancing. Tomorrow, as Indiana plans to drop that mask mandate, at the same time, the positivity rate is continuing to creep up. Lindsay Stone spoke with local experts and shares their warnings for Hoosiers.
While more than 1/3 of the state has received a COVID-19 vaccine,
it really is a race between vaccination versus the cases.
We're seeing an uptick in rate of new cases in the Hoosier state.
What we think has happened is that Michigan has been sort of, building cases over the last 50 days, actually, and we believe that that pattern just started coming south.
Dr. Brian Dixon with the Reconstruct Institute says Easter gatherings and spring break trips could now cause a fourth wave.
So we do believe that there will be a continued trend towards upward cases in the coming weeks.
He warns people to limit gatherings and postpone your travel plans until after Memorial Day.
Things are going to be safer at that point, we believe, if we can kind of weather the current spring surge that we're seeing now.
Once we find out that you're fully vaccinated, you're okay, you're protected.
Shandy Durth, an epidemiologist at Fairbanks School of Public Health, says the continued caution is needed because we're not out of the woods just yet.
We need a few more months to reach that herd immunity that we've talked about.
While the state mask mandate ends tomorrow, she's asking Hoosiers to keep taking precautions.
I would still encourage everyone to wear their masks. Just because it's not required doesn't mean it's not a smart thing to do.
And beginning Wednesday, Indiana State University students and employees will be able to receive their COVID vaccines on campus. Vaccines will be given at the ISU Student Health Center on North 5th Street. Students and employees received an email containing a unique link to schedule their appointment. First dose appointments are available April 7th through the 20th. The university says about 120 doses of the Pfizer vaccine will be available each day. After delivering first doses, health center staff will schedule patients' second dose. 300 free donuts will be given away this Friday. It's so people can pledge to take a stand against child abuse. It's Child Abuse Awareness Month, and Susie's Place Child Advocacy Center will partner with Basler's Market to spread awareness. A donut drive-through will be held this Friday at Basler's. Each donut will have a barcode that people can scan for more resources and on how to become an advocate and a voice for abused children. Susie's Place will offer free online informational training for the month of April. Executive Director of Susie's Place, Emily Perry, tells us the pandemic has revolutionized the way people notice and report abuse. She says Susie's Place has partnered with local schools to provide remote learning resources.
Know that with COVID-19, the advice has been stay safe at home. And we know firsthand that many children are not safe in their homes. And so COVID-19 has posed some really unique challenges for cases involving intrafamilial child abuse.
Perry says Susie's Place is always looking for donations. The Advocacy Center is looking for a new building because they have outgrown their current space. The donut drive-thru, by the way, will take place in Basler's parking lot Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. The battle over the president's infrastructure plan continues in Washington. Coming up, the Republicans say the plan really doesn't address infrastructure needs. Meanwhile, the administration says it does. And later in sports, does Jalen Suggs have another shot like this in the works? Omar has an update on the national championship game in just a bit.
You're watching WTWO News at 11 with Mike Tank, Sadie All, Chief Meteorologist Jesse Walker, and Sports Director Grant Pugh. WTWO News at 11 continues.
The battle lines over President Biden's infrastructure package have been drawn. Republicans say the Americans' jobs plan hardly addresses the country's needs, but the Biden administration says it's all part of its Build Back Better promise. Jesse Tenor joins us from Washington with the latest.
Good evening. The White House is also selling the plan as a blueprint, really, for sweeping social and economic change. For the Biden administration, infrastructure is more than just improved roads, bridges, and pipes.
This is a public health issue.
During a tour of a water treatment plant in California, Vice President Kamala Harris stressed how the president's multi-trillion-dollar infrastructure package would address racial equality.
To make sure all people have access to clean water and affordable water.
President Biden's plan would also make large investments in job training and affordable housing, along with improving pay and benefits for caregivers. Corporations would foot the bill.
So we can compete with the rest of the world.
But Republicans argue a corporate tax increase would make the U.S. less competitive.
The last thing the economy needs right now is a big whopping tax increase on all the productive sections.
Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell and Missouri Senator Roy Blunt say only about 30% of the proposal fits their definition of infrastructure.
I think it's a mistake, and I also think it would be an easy victory if we go back and look at roads and bridges and ports and airports.
White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki says the president understands how to negotiate with Congress.
He knows some members think it's too big, some think it's too small. Frankly, there have been folks who have come out on both sides.
But President Biden has made it clear he ultimately wants this passed by August recess, which means with or without Republicans. In Washington, I'm Jesse Tenor.
Jesse, I got to tell you, I've enjoyed the last couple of days, especially today. Wonderful day today.
You're going to love tomorrow, Mike.
Okay.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
It's just keep on coming.
Yeah, yes, they do. That's right. This is some great weather for this time of the year. Great night out there right now. Here's a live look with our Graber Post building cam looking over Terre Haute. Pretty quiet out there. The weather's pretty quiet, but it's going to change a little bit by midweek. We'll talk more about that here in just a little bit.
All right, sounds good. And later, we'll take a look at the most compelling stories that are making waves around the Hoosier State. Stick around for Indiana Matters. That's coming up after Springs.
Now, your local weather authority with Chief Meteorologist Jesse Walker.
Welcome back, everybody. Temperature's nice and warm today. We hit 77 for the high. That's 20 degrees above where it should be this time of the year. 86, so that's your record high. We set it back in 1988. 48 was our low early this morning. No precipitation across the area today. We're going to stay dry for a while, but we do see a storm bringing rain chances in here later on this week. Sunrise, sunset tomorrow. We're just under 13 hours of daylight. River Stage and Terre Haute's just under 10 feet, and it is on the way down. Right now at the airport in Terre Haute, look at this. It's still 63 degrees at this hour. The winds are south at 6 and the pressure is at 29.96. Temperatures right now near 60. We've got a 65 over in Mattoon, 57 in Paris, and they say 63 in Terre Haute, so we've got really mild weather. On the water vapor satellite, if you look right there, you'll see that spin right there. That's our developing storm. It'll be moving this way as we head into the next couple days. We've also got some moisture off to the north of this area, and that's where we're seeing some of these showers and thunderstorms developing up here towards the Minnesota area. Those are going to stay off to the north of this area. So here locally, not much going on. We're basically looking at fair skies tonight. No rain showing up, of course, on the Dorsa Automotive Doppler radar. So there's not anything out there now and won't be anything out there for a while. Here's what's going to happen, though, with time. That storm I showed you way out to the west, well, it eventually moves this way. Looks like for us, most of the rain showers will not get here till late Wednesday. This is about 11 p.m. Wednesday, and they're just moving into our western counties with the system. So we can't rule out a few showers might try to get in here early Wednesday, but most rain, I think, is going to come towards Wednesday night into the first part of the day on Thursday as that storm moves through. The wind is also going to be strong tomorrow out of the south, maybe 10 to 15. And then as we get into Wednesday, the winds will pick up even more. We could see some wind gusts over 25 on Wednesday. So both days, strong southerly winds, but the threat of severe weather looks pretty minimal. Wednesday and Wednesday evening, it's a marginal risk, mostly in the far southwestern areas. So again, that's the very low end. That does not look likely to see much in the way of any severe weather here locally, but it's something we'll keep an eye on. The storms will be coming through Wednesday night, not a likely time to see that. So here's the timing on that. This is about midnight Wednesday night. They spin through the area into the first part of the day Thursday. Should be gone then by Friday. I think Friday looks like a dry day. Then another little system spins up this way about noon on Saturday. That should exit on Sunday morning. So again, part of the weekend, the first part of it could be some showers, and then those should get out of here by Sunday, at least by the afternoon hours, and looking dry for the rest of Sunday and into the day on Monday. Temperature-wise, you can see the warm weather across the area right now. It will cool a little bit on Friday and then a little bit more as we head for part of the weekend, but overall, temperatures are not looking all that bad right now. Longer term, though, you can kind of see some of this cooler air pushing southward. Notice as we near the middle of the month. So here's the 13th to the 19th. We do think temperatures may go back a little bit below normal about mid-month. Forecast tonight looks good. Partly cloudy, mild 54 the low. Tomorrow all the way to 80 degrees. It'll be breezy in the afternoon, but dry. And then after that, we're still talking about some mild weather. Most showers on Wednesday look to come late. A lot cooler with scattered showers Thursday, back to 71 Friday. The weekend right now, showers Saturday, but looks dry as we head for Sunday. That's weather. Sports coming up right after the break.
Now, WTWO Sports with Omar Tello.
Hello there, everybody. A national championship is going to be decided tonight in Indianapolis. The Gonzaga Bulldogs and Baylor Bears, both teams vying for their school's first title. So there's that bit of history, plus Gonzaga aiming to become the first undefeated team to win the championship since Indiana in 1976. So how's it going at Lucas Oil Stadium? Time for a check with our scores department. And look at the Baylor Bears, as Ashley and Dan Cade predicted, leading from the tip-off. They started 9-1 and haven't looked back. Maceo Teague and Jared Butler with a combined 39 points. Jalen Suggs and Drew Timme with 32 total at last check. But Baylor with terrific shooting throughout. They are closing in on the school's first title in men's basketball. In college golf, the Indiana State women finished 4th in the annual ISU Invitational. Chelsea Morrow had rounds of 74 and 77, finished tied for 8th place, while Lauren Green had the low score of the day for the Sycamore, shooting 76 on Monday. Madison Branham had an 81. Good scores all around for head coach Greg Town. Let's revisit the scene at the Country Club of Terre Haute, where we'll pick things up on the picturesque 18th hole. Here's Madison, and I thought this one looked like it was going in. Just missed, though. She'll tap that in. Madison also had a 76 on the first day. She'll be back next year as well. Then it's Lauren Green from Liverpool, England. Good to see her playing well. A nice chip there. And now she has this left, and the greens today, just not very friendly, but a team best 76 for Lauren. ISU finished 4th behind Northern Iowa, Green Bay, and Butler. Rose Holman was 8th on the day with a team score of 679, one spot ahead of Valparaiso. Here's Lauren on her round along with head coach Greg Town.
Not bad. A little frustrating, but I'm happy with how I played. Could have sunk a few more putts, but I'm pleased, ready for conference. Honestly, having 4 freshmen, we had 4 seniors, we lost all of them, so really just getting used to each other, and it's been quite a challenge, but we did well yesterday and we're not doing too badly. So
we don't have any of the kids on our team that have played any conference championships, and we have some juniors, so it's been really tough on them, and not getting to play under tournament conditions, that's different than just playing regular. So we're really happy to get out here and get some tournament kind of competition.
Good job by them. Back to college basketball. Indiana got another player back from the transfer portal today. Christian Lander joins Trace Jackson Davis in returning to Indiana. He had been in the transfer portal after Archie Miller was let go, but after visiting with new coach Mike Woodson, he's changed his mind. And joining Lander is Jordan Geronimo, also exiting the transfer portal, so 2 players coming back for Indiana. Lander inbounding here to Davis. Christian, though, struggled as a freshman last season, averaging just 2.1 points and 1.2 assists per game while shooting 25% from the field. Geronimo, meanwhile, averaged 2.2 points and 1.8 rebounds as a freshman, playing 8 minutes per game. So now only Armand Franklin and Race Thompson remain in the transfer portal. One other note, Woodson also hired former Hoosier Dane Fife as an assistant. Fife spent the last 10 seasons on Michigan State staff and was part of the 2002 team that played in the national championship. So additions in Bloomington as they prepare for next season. And we'll quickly finish up with a look at the major league scores. The Cardinals on the road to Miami, while the Cubs host the Milwaukee Brewers. And St. Louis wins in Miami. Tommy Edman with a solo home run there. Wilson Contreras, Javier Baez, and David Bodie all went deep for Chicago in a win. Elsewhere, Nick Castellanos hit a go-ahead home run for Cincinnati as the Reds beat Pittsburgh, while the White Sox in Seattle with a late game on the West Coast. And that's a wrap on sports, but stay tuned. Mike's back with more news right after this.
WTWO News at 11 continues.
The reward for information leading to the murders of the two Delphi girls has grown to $325,000. State police say the reward fund was boosted by an anonymous donation of $100,000. It comes a little over 4 years after the killings of 13-year-old Abby Williams and 14-year-old Libby German. The girls were found slain just a day after they vanished while walking on a trail in northern Indiana. We have some breaking news right now out of Vincennes. Knox County Dispatch reports one person has been shot. It happened just before 9 p.m. in the 600 block of 6th Street. Officials have not released the status of the victim, but will continue to keep you updated as this story develops online on our website, mywabashvalley.com. Happening now in Columbus, police are looking for a man wanted in connection to recent vandalism. Graffiti has been left on several buildings downtown that included symbols of white supremacist groups. Some of the buildings targeted included a church and the Cummins Incorporated corporate office building. Columbus police are hoping you can identify the man seen here, who they are calling a suspect in the case. If you recognize him, please call the Columbus Police Department. A controversial bill allowing Indiana lawmakers to call themselves into session is on its way to the governor's desk. Governor Eric Holcomb has said he will not sign the legislation due to concerns over it being unconstitutional. Kayla Sullivan has this story from Indianapolis.
It's very rare that you have the same party suing each other in court over constitutionality of an issue.
But that's a large possibility over House Bill 1123. It allows Indiana lawmakers to call themselves into session during a statewide public emergency. The current state constitution only grants that power to the governor, but it doesn't say lawmakers can't.
Lawmakers say, hey, the Constitution is silent. So if it's silent, that means we can do it, since it doesn't say we can't, which is a bit sketchy.
Abdul Hakim Shabazz is an attorney and publisher of Indy Politics. He says he agrees with the governor that this is unconstitutional. Governor Eric Holcomb says he supports parts of the bill, but when asked whether he would sign it,
I can answer that in 4 letters, and it's VETO.
Holcomb understands lawmakers' desire to guarantee more involvement in the process. The bill also grants them the ability to oversee spending of federal dollars during an emergency.
It should be expected that we work together.
And Holcomb says they've been doing that, though some lawmakers disagree. But Republican leadership says it was their choice not to call a special session during the pandemic. It's the future they're worried about.
This just allows the legislative body to have an opportunity to be, clearly engaged.
Speaker Houston says a veto override is likely, and so is a lawsuit.
The courts will have a chance if somebody wants to bring a constitutionality concern, obviously the courts would make that provision.
A risk many lawmakers say is worth taking.
Well, another nice day. Beautiful spring day, wasn't it? Especially beautiful if you had Baylor winning the national championship, right? Well, Jesse will be back to let us know if our good fortune will continue this week. Well, Easter Monday brought some special treats for animals at one zoo. Chimps, lemurs, lions, and meerkats got to eat some holiday treats to the delight of children watching them. Chimps enjoyed hard-boiled eggs. Lions had meat, while the lemurs and meerkats had fruits. The zoo was located in Zagreb, in the capital. That is the capital of Croatia. I wonder if they were watching the NCAA championship there tonight. They're probably big basketball fans over there in Croatia, don't you think, Jesse?
Could be. I had Zaga, so
I think that was kind of the favorite by most people, but, Baylor's pretty good, and they got off to a quick start, so we know basketball. Yep. What was it, Indiana State? Almost had an undefeated season, too.
Right. The last time a team went into the final game undefeated and lost, it was ISU in 1979. So IU, the record stands, still the last undefeated team, 1976.
Oh, yeah, that does. Yeah.
So IU still holds that record.
Very good. Well, what else stands? Good weather?
Well, speaking of 79 and 76, I've got numbers like that. How about this?
Oh, that sounds good.
Look at this. 80 and 80. We got that the next 2 days, so it's pretty close to that. Dry tomorrow, dry most of Wednesday, with better chances of rain late Wednesday, Thursday. We cool off on Thursday. Back to 71 on Friday. But I tell you what, Mike, back-to-back 80s possible next 2 days.
Yeah, that was a great undefeated team in 76. Kent Benson, Bobby Knight, Scott May, Quinn Buckner, Tom Abernathy. Who else was on that?
Remember them all.
I remember them all. They were great. They were great. And they still are the last undefeated team. The Tonight Show is next. Have a good day.